Welcome to your Leo full moon reading, and this of course is going to be at its climax on February 16th of 2022 at 11:56 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can figure out where that is at in your time zone. And it's beautiful. We have this wonderful, exciting, fun Leo energy that's coming about. And I wanted to talk just briefly about, before we jump into your reading, what this energy is bringing in. Of course, every 28, 29 days or so, we have a new cycle of moons, from new moons to full moons and back to new moons, and so it's always going that way. But also around every 6 months we have a cycle of going from the new moon in a sign to the full moon in a sign back to the new moon in a sign. So the new moon, the last new moon, I'll show you a little card here. I love this, all these beautiful sunflowers, because the Leo, I believe, is ruled by the sun, so this is beautiful energy. The last new moon we had was back on August 9th of 2021, and that energy that started us off on that journey, like it says here, shine, and like the sun shines, right? And that was about finding pride, lion pride, in who you are, remembering respect for yourself, allowing your creative energy to bring like new and unique approaches to any of your challenges. So that was the energy that started up around there. And then 6 months later, here we're coming up around February 16th of the culmination. So during those 6 months, from there up to this point that's the journey that you've been having. So you can look at back on August 9th, see what was happening around that period of time, and just what has grown around your pride in yourself and the respect in yourself and your creative energy from that time. But the Leo full moon energy, this is about releasing now old thoughts and old beliefs about who you thought you were, the old things that you thought you had pride in yourself, or the things that you were using to define your respect for yourself. And now you're releasing those and you're letting go. And like it mentions in here, little lion, go wild. Get out from all that restriction and all those old thoughts and beliefs. It also says that answers are coming, so enjoy your ride, have fun, love, smile, laugh. All of those things help you see and hear answers where you didn't see answers before. And it's about using your energy not to focus on your fears, but focus instead on what you want, not on what you don't want. Focus on what you're grateful for, because whatever you focus on is what is going to grow. So this is what this is about. And I love these cards are from this beautiful deck here. So I'll let you see that in case you want to check those out. And it gives you a lot of beautiful information about the moons and the phases of the moons. And in here, they mentioned like a full moon affirmation, which I really liked, which I'm going to alter a little bit, but they mentioned like the affirmation is, I live in the present and release all past pain. And I want to alter that and say, I live in the present and release all past pain and constriction and suffering and stress, because those are those old beliefs, the old ways of seeing yourself. And this is a transformation of seeing yourself in a whole new bright way, right? So I love this, and we're going to see what the Creator has to additionally provide you for each reading for each of the individual signs, and we're going to jump into your sign right now. All right, my Geminis, this is your Leo full moon reading, and we're going to start off by pulling a card here from the You Are Awesome deck to see what the Creator wants you to know around this full moon energy for you. One more time. All right, so for our Geminis, what would you like them to know about this full moon, please? Okay, actually, they went to this one right there. I love the dinosaur and the bunny rabbit. It says, I get my friends and families back, sides and front. Okay, I got them. Plus, I may get a lift too. So this is like you got their back. So you are supporting others during this full moon energy, and you are getting that back because what you're giving and focusing on is what's returning to you. So I love that you have this support that you're giving to your friends and your family and those that you love, and that it is returning to you, which is beautiful. We're also going to pull some cards here from the tarot and just find out more about this beautiful energy that's coming around this Leo full moon for you. So what else for our Geminis, please? Okay. You've got the Wheel of Fortune. And then you have the Six of Pentacles. That's hilarious. You'll find out why here in a sec. And then you have the King of Pentacles. The 6, which is the Lover's card. You have the 11, which that is Justice, I believe. And you've got the Knight of Swords. And I need at least 2 more. Okay, and here they are. Oh, actually, you got 3. Okay. So this one here, you have the Knight of Wands. And the 10 of Pentacles. So that's a beautiful card. You'll see that in a sec. And you have the Queen of Swords. Yep, Queen. Has a special little knob on the Queen down there. So I just got these cards. So sorry that it took me a sec to get that deciphered in my brain. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around this. This is kind of like the full moon for you. We're going to start off at the top with this card here, which is the Wheel of Fortune. And this is a beautiful card because not only is a 10 endings and new beginnings, this is a beautiful, it means there's this change that's happening around this period of time. And so it's, because this is a general reading, I kind of got like hit with a couple things at once. One of these changes in your life that's kind of with the wheel turning is that you've changed your attitude, where you have been looking for support from others and you haven't been getting it. And so you're like, you know what? I've been learning over these last 6 months that if give what I want to receive. So I'm going to give the support I want, and then suddenly you start receiving the support back and you're like, wow, that's amazing, you know? And for others of you, I really feel like you've been giving and giving and giving and giving support, and you hadn't been getting it back. But suddenly now with this change, there's this, over these last 6 months, with you learning and remembering this new way of looking at yourself, remembering the respect you have for yourself, some energy has changed within you to where suddenly people are starting to give back where you were getting back 0 before. And we'll talk about that as we move around this little kind of full moon clock. So I love that for you, because the other thing that the Wheel of Fortune brings is this message that in life happens for you. It doesn't happen to you. Before you came down here, your higher self, your soul, chose that this avatar that you are, this human character that you are, is specifically chose for you to represent it and to experience life through you, through your personality, through your characteristics, through your strengths, through any opportunities that you're going to have. And it chose this is when it was going to arrive, and this is when it's going to end, you know, out of this game. And all these fated events that you wanted to experience in this life for a purpose. And so you move from thinking and feeling like a victim of life, that everything is happening to you, that you're not on this out of control drama train that's about to jump the tracks and blow up, but that you are on this kind of monorail where you're moving on this vehicle that's attached to the track. It's not going to fly off. It has all its smooth, movement on the track, with all it stops happening on purpose for a purpose. So you move out of this victimhood into this beautiful, butterfly, like it's talking about here. You don't feel like a caterpillar who was being punished in the cocoon, because now you're realizing that everything that happened has turned you into this beautiful butterfly of a being that you are. So there's this transformation, like I said, over these last 6 months that has really played a part in that. And then we're going to look at these 3 cards together. So you've got the 6 of Pentacles here. Yes, those are mice at her feet. And then you've got the King of Pentacles. And then you have the Lovers card. And these 3 combined together are bringing this message in. One, first of all, the 6 of Pentacles is all about giving and receiving and the balancing out of things in the outside world, which totally makes sense here. We were talking about, the giving that you were giving before, that you weren't receiving anything. You're starting to get that reciprocation back. And before, where you weren't giving and not getting anything back, now you understand, like, okay, I'm giving, and what I give out is what I get back. And so there's this awareness that comes here with especially the King of Pentacles, because the King is at the end of the Pentacles suit, full of wisdom and experience. It's been through all of the other, members of the Pentacle suit. So it has this beautiful wisdom that comes. One of the big things that they share with us is the wisdom that we find our worth from within, not from outside of us. Because having been through it all, it knows that when it defined itself in its worth by external things like relationships or situations like jobs and education and circumstances like that, or by things, whether it's the body or possessions or bank account, it found that those things were always disappointing and unstable, because people change or pass away, situations never stay the same, and things break down, deteriorate, or are stolen. So it experienced all this disappointment where it finally turned inward, looking for what it needs. And that's something that comes in here too, is this support that you've been looking for. You find that from within, and because of that, that also transforms that you were like, you know what? I don't need support from other people because I'm finding it from within. I'm filling up with that support, and I'm allowing that to overflow out to others. And because you're giving it freely, whereas before it was bitter waters, maybe even resentful waters, because this can be kind of a codependency type of energy, awareness card here too, that it was like, oh, I only can give, I can't receive, because if I can't give something to someone else, what worth am I? So there's this transformation of your worth over these last 6 months that has allowed you to make these new choices in your life of finding it from within. And this Lover's card brings like 2 little messages with it. One, it is about emotional choices, which obviously we've talked about here. You made these emotional choices to give first, or that you found this worth from within, and now this support will be coming back to you as extra. Whereas before, it was like, I needed their support. It was like my nourishment. I wasn't going to live without it. To where you're like, anything you give me is extra because I'm finding everything I need from within me instead. But the other thing that the Lovers brings is, it's like the first time in our lives when we're teenagers. Usually it's when we're teenagers. It's like we have this passion for something in our life that we're so energized by it, we're so driven by it, that it outweighs the fear of breaking the rules, all the supposed to's and the shoulds and all those expectations of others. Before we're like, oh no, I'm not going to do anything. I don't want to get punished. I enjoy the praise I get from my authority figures and parents and teachers and whatever. So I'm not going to break those rules. But then we fall in love, or we have our first crush, or we really love a band, or we really want to see a movie so badly, but when we're told no, we go do it anyway. And that's that kind of this, overall passion of like, I'm going to do what I want to do because those feelings are outweighing the fears of before. And so that does, move in with this, that you don't fear rejection anymore because you're finding that passion within yourself. And so you are living life, you're giving, you're overflowing, with this 3 cards together. And then we move into these 3 cards. And so we already talked about the Lovers there. And then you have the, I think this is the Justice card, number 11. Yeah, this is the Justice card. And then you have the Knight of Swords. So swords are your thoughts, your beliefs, your mindsets, your mentalities, your expectations. And so the knights are about movement and about change, about putting new thoughts into action, new messages, new communication, also coming from the outside. And really, I feel for this, because of the combination of these, it is about this awareness and these changes of thoughts, because the Justice card usually has 2 scales, and it is this awareness, and usually it has the Ace of Swords too, which is what this knight yields. They have the Ace of Swords in their hand. It is the balancer. It's like the Ace of Swords is there, and like usually sometimes you'll see like the scales are hanging from the Ace of Swords. And what that does is this, again, choices, this comparison between the 2 things, between the thoughts of our human physical world, what I call the small t truths of our ego, all those supposed to be's, those should be's, those need to's, those have to's, all those opinions of opinions, those popular opinions from the outside world that have told us when something happens, this is what it's supposed to mean. When something happens, this is how you're supposed to feel. But the other piece, the Ace of Swords, what it does, it allows you to connect to higher truths, capital T truths, like we discovered with this Wheel of Fortune, that everything happens for you, doesn't happen to you. And it also gives you the ability to cut away those thoughts and those beliefs that no longer serve you. So there is this change in this awareness around how powerful you are, how self-sufficient you are. And again, there's this movement of this new thought and this new belief. And you understand that justice, if it's judgment, then that comes from our fear ego, that comes from our shadow, because it's all about comparison and contrast, wanting to make sure that we're not on the bottom, wanting to make sure that we're lovable and acceptable. And there's all this judgment for ourselves and others when we're in that place. But then you move to the other side of it, right? And you move into where the judgment, you connect to the unconditional love that you find within, like the King of Pentacles is what they found, is there are no conditions to the unconditional love of the Creator of all things, because if there was one condition, it would be conditional. So there's nothing you can do to gain it, nothing you can do to lose it. And so there comes this freedom that comes with this too. This freedom from judgment, and this like reminds us of the Garden of Eden. It's like the judgment, you ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Well, the knowledge of good and evil, that is judgment. That is those supposed to be's. That is thinking that there's a specific way that love can be, rejected, that we can be rejected, that we can be, not worthy. And so there's this beautiful awareness with these capital T truths, with this Ace of Swords energy that you're bringing into. And then we come into this side. So you already saw the Knight of Swords there. And then you have so you have the Knight of Swords, you have the Knight of Wands, which wands is our drive, our ambition, our aha inspiration, our passions. And then you also have the Ten of Pentacles, which the King of Pentacles is about abundance and feeling whole and complete. And the Ten of Pentacles is that as well. You just feel this wholeness and this completeness that comes in, which we talked about. And here's the tens again, endings and new beginnings. And then you have the Queen of Swords. So where this knight had the swords, the Ace of Swords, so does this queen. And she having this beautiful awareness. Again, she's able to cut away those thoughts and those beliefs that no longer serve. And I love that she's cutting a cake there, because I'm going to tell you about the spice cake mantra that came about, because I really feel like that's going to be a part of this, but I'll talk about that in a sec. But you have the Knight of Wands, which this is, again, this movement, this passion, putting this passion into action. So the passion that you had, this new way of looking at life, and this new way, I mean, it's just interacting. It continues to interact with this combination of everything here. And the spice cake mantra, they want me to just jump to that, is something that came up that they shared with me over kind of an experience I had that you are going through or have been going through for the last 6 months. And it says that I am my own spice cake. The love that I have of my true friends and my family is the frosting on top of the spice cake. My accomplishments in life are the cherry on top of the frosting on top of the spice cake. And my intimate relationships, that's the whipped topping on top of the cherry, on top of the frosting, on top of the spice cake. And if for some reason I don't have the whipped topping or the cherry, or if all of my true friends and family passed away, because that's the only time they'd ever stop loving me on this physical plane, even if I had none of those other things, I'd still be one awesome frickin' spice cake. And it's great because it really puts the perspective in that I find everything I need within myself, everything else is extra. And that is this big transformation that you've had here, because really with this 10 of Pentacles and this Queen, and when we look at all these cards together, this is this message that you find that you have everything you could always need. Life is unfolding for you every second of every day, and that you don't have to worry about receiving from the outside world anymore, because you have everything that you need within yourself. So this is this beautiful energy that transforms for you. We're also going to pull for your final card here an Elemental Oracle. This is going to be the element that's at the foundation of this message for you. Just one more time. Okay, so for my Geminis, what's your final message for this full moon? Okay, it's going to be this one right here. Yeah, your inner core. Getting down to the inner, like we talked about with being turned back with all the disappointment, to the inner and its solidity. Card number 18. I'm just going to put that right here in the middle, and let's see what the final message for this is. Yeah, stay constant in your endeavors. Do not stop your progress. Seek those who are reliable and solid. Keep your promises. The greatest power is from the inside out. The center of the Earth, the inner core, is a spherical ball of approximately 1,220 kilometers, making it about 20% of the Earth's radius. It's surrounded by the outer core, the mantle, and the crust. The inner core is supposedly made up of an iron-nickel alloy, but there's no samples of the inner core to test it. Almost all direct measurements we have about the physical properties of the inner core are deducted or deduced, is probably what they really want to say, through the seismic waves that pass through it. The core is superheated and is about the same temperature as the surface of the sun. Unlike the outer core, the center of the Earth is solid rather than fluid. Interestingly, the core isn't perfectly spherical, and the gravity at the center is about half what it is on the surface of the Earth. So there's still scientific debate about how the core was formed, but is believed to have originally been liquid that cooled to form the solid mass. The solidity gives stability to the Earth, and while not magnetic itself because of the heat it throws out, it does not affect the magnetism of the outer core. We live in a fast-paced world with many distractions. Developing a sense of solidness and reliability is important. We often do not honor the promises we make to ourselves, and yet we honor our promises and commitments to others. We need to be able to rely on our own word to ourselves. And the element of that is earth. And that's so perfect because we talked about having this solid foundation of you within yourself, that anything else on the outside world is that extra. That is the solid foundation is this spice cake that you are. And you, of course, if you want to develop a mantra, you can use whatever you want. Spice cake is just what came to me during my process. But you are one awesome frickin' spice cake, regardless of anything else on the outside. So that is the core message. Your inner core is where you find your solid foundation. I love that. Right, well, I'm going to leave the reading there. I do want to let you know that in addition to these readings, I also do monthly readings by each zodiac sign, weekly energy updates for each of the elements like fire signs, water signs, etc., these full moon, new moon readings, and a variety of others. So if you don't want to miss out on any of these and be notified immediately when they become available, if you give this video a little thumbs up and click the like button, also click the subscribe button, which will make the little notification bell pop up. And that's where you can set your setting to be notified when any videos on this channel come out. Also, doing those things helps spread the love, because when you like a video or share a video or subscribe to a channel, it makes the YouTube algorithm go giddy and it wants to share videos on that channel with other people as well. So if you feel so inclined to do any of that, of course, I am very grateful, but never any pressure to do so. Just know as you're going out throughout each and every second of every day, you Geminis, that you are unconditionally loved by the Creator of all things. And of course, I love you too. Have an amazing full moon, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you very soon. And until then, you take care.